Well, friends, welcome. So, this is a new topic which we are going to cover. All the basic aspects, fundamental aspects of GST we have already covered, and accounting part of the GST also we have covered. Today, we are going to learn the concept of supply. Concept of supply is extremely important because chargeability depends on the supply. A supply is a kind of new word you can say in GST regime. It covers both supply of goods as well as services. That means sale of goods and services both are covered under supply. And also earlier we have discussed that what is the concept of inward supply, what is the concept of outward supply. Inward supply means purchases and outward supply means sales kind of thing. Okay, those things we have covered. Now I'm going to share the screen with you so that we can start the subject. Please let me know if screen is visible to you.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Visible? Okay, thank you. Now, before learning the subject, these are the overall things. Our intention is to cover all these things. Okay, supply with consideration in the course of or furtherance of business. Import of services with consideration, whether or not in the course of furtherance of business. Supply without consideration. Activities treated as supply of goods or supply of services. Then activities neither supply of goods nor supply of services, and composite or mixed supplies. These are the areas we plan to cover in this chapter. But before understanding all these things, it is necessary for us to understand few definitions. Then only we will be able to uh, gain command over the subject. We'll be able to understand the subject only when we know the few definitions. So we'll be covering that definition part today. So under GST law, the taxable event is supply. Okay. So supply of goods and services both are considered as the taxable event. Entire value of the supply is taxed in an integrated manner. Okay, the total amount of the supply, whatever amount is paid, the entire amount will be taxable. So therefore, it is said that under GST law, supply is the taxable event. And as we discussed just now, we'll be learning various kinds of definitions. The first important definition, which is relevant for us, before learning the concept of supply, what is more important for us to understand the definition of goods, right? So, Section 2, Clause 52 of CGST Act defines goods, right? It is both exhaustive as well as inclusive definition. You see, I request some of you to read this definition. Goods means, who can read it? Please read it down.
Goods mean every kind of movable property other than money and security.
Then, but includes.
But includes actionable claims, growing crops, grass, and other things attached to or forming part of land which are agreed to be served before supply or under a contract of supply.
Thank you. So, why I call it as the inclusive as well as exhaustive definition? You see, the definition started like this: goods means, and also it uses the word it includes. The part of the definition is exhaustive. Goods means every kind of movable property other than money and securities. So money is not covered under the definition of the goods under CGST. Securities, your shares, bonds, etc., equity shares, bonds, etc., are also not a part of goods. Definition has made it clear goods means these things. And it includes actionable claims. Actionable claim, we will be learning that definition subsequently. Right now, you understand. It is just like it is a kind of, you can say it's a debt or a claim which is recognized in civil code. Those kind of debt or claims we'll be calling it as actionable claims. So actionable claims are also goods. Growing crops are goods. Grass is also goods, and other things attached or forming a part of land, even if it is attached to land or forming a part of land, which are agreed to be solved before supply or under a contract of supply. They are also goods. Suppose a tree is attached to the land, and there is an agreement or there is a contract to sell the trees. Okay, to cut and sell the tree. That means in that case, the sale tree will be considered as a goods. Right? Understood the definition. This is one definition which will be more useful for us. The definition of goods, section 2 and clause 52. There is one more definition which is not that relevant, just but we still need to have some idea about this. That Article 366(12) of the Constitution of India also explains goods, and according to that definition, goods include all material, commodity, and articles. So, in certain situations, when this definition is not clear, we may refer to some other definition. Definition is given, you see, in the article of our Constitution. Definition is also given at Sale of Goods Act. But here, when we are learning GST, we'll be sticking to this definition first. Okay. So means every kind of movable property other than money or securities. Money and securities are not goods. Actionable claims are goods. Growing crops are goods. Grass is also goods. And any other thing which is attached or forming a part of the land as also goods if they are agreed to be solved, agreed to be supplied under any contract. Okay, this is the meaning of goods. I think you have understood. Did you understand the meaning of goods? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please keep on responding. Now, having understood goods, we'll be learning the next definition. That is the definition of services. This is also relevant in GST law. Goods as well as services both are covered. Here, services are defined under section 2, clause 102 of the CGST Act. Here, it says services means, you see, this is also one exhaustive as well as inclusive definition. Please read the definition. Services means
Services means anything other than goods, money, and securities, but includes activity relating to the use of money or its conversion by cash or by any other mode from one form, currency or denomination to another form, currency or denomination for which a separate consideration is charged.
okay. Now stop here. There is an explanation to that also. Explanation I will be explaining. First, we'll understand what is services. Means anything other than goods, money, and securities. So that means these three things are excluded. Okay, goods are excluded. Goods definition already know. Money and securities are also excluded. So money and securities are neither goods nor services because both the definitions specifically excludes. But it includes activity relating to use of money. Money is excluded, but activity relating to use of money or its conversion by cash. Okay, if there is some activity uh, which deals with use of money, let us say someone is providing this service, converting Indian currency into foreign currency. So that is an activity relating to money. He may be a money changer, we may call it as a money changer or authorized dealer kind of person. But that is his activity, he deals with money. Money itself is not a goods, not a service also. But these kind of activities are services. Okay, relating to use of money or its conversion by cash or any other mode from one form uh, from uh, from one form currency or denomination to another form currency or denomination for which a separate consideration is charged. For this kind of activity, if a separate consideration is charged, then that activity will also be considered as services. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And this particular explanation is also there to further clarify that issue. The explanation clearly says, for removal of doubts, it is hereby clarified that the expression services includes facilitating or arranging transactions in securities. If someone is providing some kind of facilitating service or arranging something, some kind of help in relation to a transaction related to securities, that will also be regarded as services. Okay, so this is the most appropriate definition. So we'll be using when we are learning GST. Okay, other definitions are also there, like Article 366(26)(8) defines services means anything other than goods. This is that is a quite broad definition, but our definition, GST definitions, which is provided in CGST Act, is more specific. Okay, so that is therefore that is more relevant for us. Goods and services, you have understood. Okay, these are two fundamental definitions important for us. Okay, you should be able to identify what is a goods and what are services. Fine. Let us move. Next definition, which is relevant for us, is the definition of principle. Okay. Now, please, some of you, please read this definition.
Principal means a person on whose behalf an agent carries on the business of supply or receipt of goods or services or both.
Yeah. The principle here means on whose behalf an agent carries on the business. Okay. You may be doing something, you may get the work done by somebody else. Okay. He is only representing you. In that case, you are the principal. Okay. Person on whose behalf an agent carries on the business. You might be, let us say, you might be having a shop. You have kept few employees there. They are sitting in the shop. They are supplying. They are doing all these kinds of supply. But they are basically your agents. You are the principal. Okay, because they are doing their all these services, all the supplies they are making on your behalf. Okay, so agent carries on the business, but it does so on behalf of the principal. So one should recognize in a particular transaction who is the principal. The logic is that ultimately principal has got several responsibilities. Okay, so therefore one should distinguish who is principal and who is agent in a particular transaction. Got it? Got this meaning of this term, principal? Next term is very simple term, competent authority. Okay. In many situations, you have to make applications to competent authorities, or decisions are required to be taken by competent authorities. One should know who are the competent authorities. So we will be learning that later on. But here the definition is not a complete definition. To understand the definition, we have to refer something else. But at this stage, let us know. Competent authority means such authority as may be notified by the government. So government at different point of time, or government keeps on notifying for which kind of activities, who is the competent authority, or for which area, who is the competent authority, government notifies that. So it depends upon the notification. It is important for us to understand the meaning of the term family. Okay, family is also relevant in GST law. In appropriate time, we'll understand why it is that important. Right? And it is also an exhaustive definition. Please read the definition of family now.
Family means the spouse and children of the person and the parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters of the person if they are wholly or mainly dependent on the said person.
Okay. So family is always with reference to a person and his spouse. Spouse means if you're referring husband, then wife is the spouse. Or if you're talking about wife, then husband is the spouse. Okay, so family includes the spouse, children of that person children. Parents are also included, but there is some conditions. Parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters of the person are included. Okay, that means spouse, children, parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters. If they wholly or mainly dependent upon the said person. Okay, can you remember this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so spouse, children, parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, who are dependent. That is the meaning of family. You have to understand. Now, this is another very important definition. One by one, that it includes several points. So one by one, we'll be learning these definitions. Just give me a minute. Yeah, this definition is about business. Section 2, clause 17 talks about business. And as you can see, this is also an inclusive definition. Okay, that means law has tried, law has made certain attempt to describe it, but there might be many more things which are not specified in this definition. But still, it can be considered as income. Considered, it will still be considered as business. Right now, please read it one by one, point by point. We'll be discussing.
Business includes first point, any trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, vocation, adventure, wager, or any other similar activity, whether or not it is for a
Pecuniary
pecuniary
benefit.
benefit.
Yeah. So trade, commerce, manufacture, all these things you are, I think you are able to understand what is the meaning of trade, commerce, manufacture. Profession is also business. And vocations is also included. Normally, profession is understood where there is a formal training or formal qualification is there. Vocation is without any formal vocation, formal training. If somebody can do that profession, that is called vocation. Adventure, you can understand. Okay, some certain kind of you can say risky venture. Wager, wager here in this context, you can understand it is like betting, gambling kind of activity. Okay, that is wagering or wagering activity, you can say. Okay, and other similar activity, whether or not for a pecuniary means whether or not for a financial benefit or not. Even if there is some financial transactions are not there, financial benefit is not there, but still it can be included as business. Okay, understood this first part. Now, point B, please read it.
Uh, any activity or transaction in connection with or incidental or ancillary to subclause A.
So, subclause A we have already covered, but not only this thing, if certain incidental things or ancillary businesses you are doing, that means not directly related to this, but this is incidental to this. That is also your business. Okay, that is also your business. Understood? Yes or no? For example, let us say you are carrying out some kind of profession. You are, let us say, you are a doctor. Okay, so you may be carrying out the profession. You might be seeing your patients and prescribing something, but incidentally, you are also selling medicine. Okay, the selling medicine may be incidental or ancillary to your profession. So if that is business, this incidental activity or ancillary activity is also business. Okay,
So,
understand?
what is the meaning of ancillary? Like, what does it mean, ancillary?
Ancillary means related things.
Oh,
Something is related to that. Okay, you might be saying, oh, well, let me give you a different kind of example. You might have visited to some kind of charitable trust, etc., or temples you may find. They do different kind of thing, but incidentally, they also sell something. They sell some books. Is it not? So their
yes,
objective
sir.
is not to sell books. That is not their main objective. They are not doing business. But this is an ancillary related activities. Some kind of related activity. You can say that ancillary thing. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Next point is point C. Please read it.
Any activity or transaction in nature of subclause A, whether or not there is a volume, frequency, continuity, or regularity of such transaction.
Yes. So we need to understand this definition very carefully, very minutely. So this makes it clear because many people many times argue that this cannot be considered as a business. But you see, this activity, this definition made it clear. Whether or not there is volume, that means even if a single transaction, still it can be considered as a business. You cannot say this is small transaction, there is no volume, or there is no frequency, only one transaction, or there is no continuity, there is no regularity. Still, it can be considered as a business. Okay, so you cannot argue that this is not a business just because there is no volume, there is no frequency of transaction, there is no continuity of transaction, or there is no regularity to transaction. It cannot be called as business. This kind of argument will not be accepted. Even if there is no volume or very limited volume, no frequency, no continuity, no regularity, still the transaction can be considered as a business transaction. Understood this point? Suppose you have opened a stationery shop, you have sold only one item. Still it is business. You can say no volume, frequency is not there, regularity is not there, but still that is business. Okay? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Point D.
Supply or acquisition of goods, including capital goods and services, in connection with commencement or closure of business.
So supply or acquisition of goods are also business. You know this thing. That means purchase of goods, including capital goods, or receipt of services, receipt of services in connection with the commencement of the business or closure of the business. In the connection of, let us say, winding up of a business also. If goods or services are acquired, they all are businesses. Okay. Point E.
Provision by a club, association, society, or any such body for a subscription or any other consideration of facilities or benefits to its members.
So certain services or certain goods might be provided by the club, association, society, body. These are basically mutual association. But still, if they do this some kind of activity for some consideration, then that will be regarded as a business activity. That is also business. Okay. Even if it is a mutual organization, but still this activity will be considered as a business. Next point.
Admission for a consideration of persons to any premises.
Yeah. So admission, if it is collected, let us say some ticket is sold for admission into a stadium or admission into a theater like this. So admission for a consideration, that is also a business. Into a particular premises, that is also business. Next point.
Services supplied by a person as the holder of an office which has been accepted by him in the course or furtherance of his trade, profession, or vocation.
For that means in relation to, that means for continuance of the trade, profession, or vocation. If certain services are supplied, certain services are provided by a person as the holder of an office. Holder of an office means, let us say he is someone is a director of a company. He is holding an official position. Okay, someone is a similar kind of position someone is holding, and in connection to that, his certain trade or in relation to trade, profession, vocation, some services are provided. Then that is also will be regarded as business. Next point.
Services provided by a race club by the way of totalizator or a license to bookmaker in such club.
Okay, so these kind of services which are provided by a race club. Race club normally it can be horse race or any other kind of race. So in those kind of organization, services provided by way of totalizer. Totalizer basically is a person what he does. Race club how it happens. People bet for money. So somebody collects that money, right? Then, depending upon who wins and who loses, It distributes that money among all the participants. That is the job of the totalizer, that is collecting money and distributing the job. Okay. So if this kind of services provided by the totalizer, that is also a business service. Okay. Or a license to bookmaker in such club, or somebody is doing a kind of bookmaking activities. Bookmaking activities is also again deciding a value for something. Those kind of services are also businesses. Next point you see.
Any activity or transaction undertaken by the central government, state government, or any local authority in which they are engaged as public authorities.
Yeah. So these government activities are also businesses. So this is the definition of business. You see, again, inclusive definition. So there might be many more things beyond this which can still be considered as the business. Okay. So what business was relevant? This is the list of the items we have covered. Now there is a need to understand the meaning of government, right? In the context of CGST, we are learning CGST. Yeah. Government means central government. Okay, because we are learning CGST. Yeah. In the context of various SGST law, government means state government, or if it is specifically mentioned central government, then central government. There is a need to understand the definition of local authority. Local authority means panchayats, maybe municipalities, municipal committee, Jilla Parishad, district board, or any other authority, similar kind of authority. A cantonment board, regional council or district council, development board, or regional council constituted under Article 371 of the Constitution, like this. So this is the meaning of local authority. Okay, just have an idea, meaning of local authority. Now, this is an important definition for us. This is about consideration. Okay, what is consideration? We'll be discussing this in detail. Consideration is very important, just like business was important, consideration is important. Yeah, please, some of you please read. Consideration is described in section 2, clause 31. Please read the definition.
Consideration in relation to supply of goods or services or both includes, first point, any payment made or to be made, whether in money or otherwise, in respect of, in response to, or for the inducement of the supply of goods or services or both, whether by the recipient or by any other person, but shall not include any subsidy given by the central government or a state government.
Yeah, let us first complete understanding this particular term. What is consideration? You know, any sales transaction or provision of service transaction, considerations is required. Okay, considerations are paid. That is what is the money which is paid for doing that kind of transaction. When you purchase something, you pay consideration, you pay money. Right? When you sell a particular item, you receive some compensation, that is the consideration. Right? And in relation to supply of goods or services, the consideration include, here again, inclusive definition is there. Any payment made. If some payment is made, that's no doubt consideration. Okay. But it also includes any payment to be made. Even if payment has not been made, let us say you have raised a bill, you have raised an invoice. Consideration you might have received or you might not have received. Even if you have not received, still it is a consideration which is it is a payment which is to be made. Consequently, that will also form a part of consideration. Okay, so it is a payment either made or to be made. But however, it does not include one thing. What is that thing which is not included? Who can reply?
There any subsidy which is given by central
You
government
have
to
some
state
idea
government.
about what is the subsidy? What's a subsidy? Anyone can tell? Not definition, your understanding, I would like to know. Who can tell me the meaning of subsidy?
The government gives some goods at a discounted price.
Yeah. Can you give me some example?
So LPG or high
Yes,
yielding
exactly. That is the
seeds.
best example you have given. You see, actual price is something, but government is giving you a kind of concession. Government is helping you. That is called as the subsidy, right? But when you talk about the consideration will not include subsidy. Suppose a gas cylinder's price is 900 rupees, but you are paying 700 rupees. Consideration is 700 rupees. It will not include government subsidy. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So any payment which are made or to be made are the consideration, but subsidy has to be excluded. This has to be kept in mind. Okay. Now, point B. Please read the point B.
The monetary value of any act or forbearance in respect of, in response to, or for the inducement of the supply of goods or services, or both, whether by the recipient or by any other person, but shall not include any subsidy given by the central government or state government.
Okay. So, first of all, here also second part, if you see, the subsidies are not subsidies do not form a part of consideration. Second point talks about money value of any act. That means when service is provided for that particular act, if some money is to be paid, that is the money value of the act. Or forbearance. Forbearance means, who can tell me? Who can help me? Just try to think what is forbearance. Or read the definition once again. You might be able to understand. Forbearance.
The
Yeah.
the forbidding kind of, I'm just guessing.
Yeah. Think of,
The forbidding, like
like, can you give me an example?
uh,
Try to give an example. I just want an example. I don't want any exact meaning.
So, does it mean that that we get some kind of relief from our creditors or our lenders in for payment for repayment?
Not exactly. Please try somebody else.
there kind of relaxation on any loan or something?
Maybe you can understand something like, let us say, monetary value of any act. Suppose I am telling you, you do this thing, I will be paying you this much of money. Okay, so what is that thing? I may tell you something. You come and take a class, teach something, I will pay you something. So, certain act, for teaching act, some money will be paid to you. This is the monetary value of this thing. Okay, but if I tell you, I will be paying you this money, don't teach, or you cannot teach. Okay, something like this. Suppose I am making a condition with a doctor that you cannot do private practice. For that thing, I will be paying you this much of money. Or I can tell a teacher that you cannot do tuition, private tuition, for which this much of money will be given. That means what exactly I'm doing? I'm restricting that person, isn't it? And for that, some money value is paid. For doing something means for any act. For not doing something is forbearance. Is it clear? Did you understand?
Repeat once again.
Okay. Let us say let us say I'll do this thing. Forbearance means restraining or restricting somebody, or telling somebody not to do something, and the money value paid for that is a part of consideration. That is what we are learning. For example, I give, suppose I am giving a salary to a doctor. I am saying, you see, I'll giving consultancy fee to the doctor that you will be paying, you will be receiving 2 lakh rupees per month. That is the monetary value of any act. What you have to do? You have to maybe come to our business and you have to do certain things. 2 lakh rupees per month, that is the monetary value of an act. But let us say I am making a condition, but I'll be giving you another 50,000 rupees per month with a condition that you will not do any private practice. Only will be working for us. Understood? So I am now restricting his activities. That is called forbearance. Understood? That is restricting certain activities. And when he say monetary value of forbearance, that means monetary value of certain restrictions. That's also a part of constitution. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you sure you understood, or should I repeat it?
No, sir.
Okay.
Understood.
Suppose you see in some schools, teachers are paid salary, that is the monetary value of certain act, but they are also paid non-tuition fee. They cannot do private tuition. That is the money paid for forbearance. That's also constitution. I think it is clear now. Okay. Now, last there is a provision there. Please read that part.
Provided that a deposit given in respect of the supply of goods or services or both shall not be considered as payment made for such supply unless the supplier applies such deposit as consideration for the said supply.
Okay. Okay. So here this is a very important provision. You can say very, very important provision. Why it is very important? There's some kind of GST planning. Okay, goods and services tax planning can be made by using this. So subsequently, when we will be learning the chapter, we will be knowing that GST liability arises even when money is not received. You raising the bill means liability is created. Even if you have not received the payment, still you have to settle your GST liability. You have to deposit money with the government. Is it not? Yes or no? You are aware of this or no? You have supplied something means GST liability is there. You have to settle that liability, even if payment has not been received from the parties. Okay. And again, one more thing you must be knowing: if some advance money is also received, GST liability is still there. Some customer gives you advance money, still you have to pay GST on that. You have to generate an invoice and you have to pay GST. But if customer deposits some money with you, it's not an advance. It's not against your invoice. But customer is making a deposit of money with you, then that will not be considered as consideration. Accordingly, GST will not be levied on that consideration, or that GST will not be levied on that receipt till the time the supplier applies such deposits as consideration. Okay, if latter stage you generate an invoice and applies that deposit for settlement of that invoice, then it is a consideration, otherwise it's not a consideration. Did you understand this? Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So deposits are not consideration. Subsidies are not consideration. These are the key points you have to take here. Okay. And whether money is received or receivable, both are consideration. Is it clear? Let's move to the next part. Next definition is actionable claim. As I told you initially, section 2, 1 of CGST Act, 2 clause 1, has to be read with section 3 of Transfer of Property Act to understand the meaning of actionable claim. So broadly, you can understand it's a claim or debt other than a debt secured or mortgaged, and these claim and debts are recognized by the civil code as affording grounds of relief where such debt or beneficial interest be existent, accruing, or conditional, or contingent. Little complex definition. So in simply we have to understand it can be a debt or claim, but it cannot be a mortgage debt or it cannot be secured debt. And this debt and claim is recognized by civil code for certain actions. Then only it will be called as actionable. Civil code can take certain actions against those claim and debts. That is how we will understand this definition. Okay, is it clear? Should I move? Yeah. So next definition is about agent. Okay. Please read. Some of you, please read this definition. Agent.
Agent means a person including a factor, broker, commission agent, Arhatia, Del Trader agent, an auctioneer, or any other mercantile agent by whatever name called who carries on the business of supply or receipt of goods or services or both on behalf of another.
So basically this meaning is that a person who supplies goods or services on behalf of other, he can be called as agent. It may be called as a factor. Factoring services is a, you can say in the banking sector, these kind of agents are there. What they can do, they can take your Sunday debtors and give you some money or sell that Sunday debtors to somebody else. They are the factoring service it is called. Brokering service is available in the stock market, in the secondary market. You can find brokers, primary brokers, secondary brokers, etc. They helps in purchase or sale of shares, bonds, etc. This kind of transactions. Commission agent, agent who does a act for his commission. Arhatia means the agent who is doing business on behalf of others. This is in local language. Perhaps I couldn't get the exact meaning of Arhatia anywhere. Perhaps this has come from Marathi. So in the local language, this means an agent. And Delcreditor agency is a different kind of agency. Here what happens, the agent gives a kind of guarantee. Okay, here is a detailed explanation of who is a Delcreditor agent. It's a type of principal agent relationship wherein the agent acts not only as the salesperson or broker for the principal, but also acts as a guarantor of credit extended to the buyer. So here what happens, the agent also gives a guarantee that money will be recovered. That is called as Delcreditor agent. Then an auctioneer, who helps in auctions or any other marketable agent, whatever name called, who carries on the business of supply or receipt of goods or services or both on behalf of others. That is the meaning of agent. I think you have understood this. Process of manufacture. We need to understand this concept also. Please read it out.
Manufacture means processing of raw material or inputs in any manner that results in emergence of a new product having a distinct name, character, and use, and the term manufacturer shall be construed accordingly.
So here, in fact, two definitions are there. One is manufacture, second is manufacturer. If you understand the word manufacture, accordingly you can construe the word manufacturer. What is important here is that we know, more or less we know, when we talk about manufacture, it means processing of raw material or input. Certain raw material needs to be processed or inputs have to be processed. But here the main point is that it should be processed. Just processing will not cause manufacture. The processing should emerge or should results in emergence of a new product. A distinct product must come out of that process. What you have processed, that is raw material, but when finally processing is over, a new product must come into existence with a distinct name, distinct character, and distinct use. If both of them are same, then that is not a manufacture. Okay, you might do some processing, but it is same. Then that is not manufacturing. Understood this definition, or you need some examples to understand? Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if some new product is coming into existence, then only it is manufacturing. Okay. Let us say, for example, you can take, suppose you are giving some cloths, some fabrics, which needs to be converted into a dress. Now, fabric and dress are the same thing, or that different, a distinct product is emerging out of this process. Whether a new product, a distinct product is emerging, or they're same.
Sir, please repeat the question.
Question is that, suppose you are giving some clothes or some fabric to a tailor, okay, so that he can make a dress for you. So your raw material is this fabric, and some inputs may be added, and the tailor will be converting all these inputs and the raw material into a finished product called as dress. Here the point is that whether the input and whether this input or whether through this process a new product is generated, a new product is emerging or not.
Yes, sir.
If you feel a new product is emerging, then that is a manufacture. That means tailor is manufacturing. Okay, tailor has manufactured something because he converted your clothes into a dress. Fabric is converted into a dress, and they are different. Fabric is different from dress. So a new product with a distinct name, character, and use, all are different, is emerged. But let us say one more thing. You took that dress and gave it in the laundry, right, for washing and ironing. After that, he is also handing over that thing. Now tell me whether that laundry person has manufactured something.
No, sir.
No. Why no?
So because it does not include any production of new product.
Yes, same dress is there.
Any processing.
Before also the name was dress. After that also name was dress. Before that character was same. After that character was same. Before that use was whatever was the use. After ironing also use is same. So a new distinct product is not emerged. The definition is again very important for us, because many case laws you can find there is a dispute whether it is manufactured or not. Okay. So many disputes are there relating to this issue, that whether things are manufactured or not. Okay, fine. Now, next definition we are going to learn is about money. Please read this definition.
Money means the Indian legal tender or any foreign currency, check, promissory note, bill of exchange, letter of credit, draft, pay order, traveler check, money order, postal or electronic remittance, or any other instrument
Okay.
recognized.
Just
Excuse me, sir.
yeah, please.
So I'm not able to see the slide where money's definition is given. So can you please reshare the screen?
Is it visible to all of you? All of the others?
Sir. Yes, sir.
So actually, I have a very bad internet, so I'm getting disconnected. again and
Okay,
again.
but
So
even if I reshare, it will not be helping. Well, if you want, I will do it again.
just
I'll
once, if you,
stop sharing. I'll be once again trying to reshare the screen.
yes, sir.
Just
Thank
a
you, sir.
minute, don't worry. I'll try. Now please watch if it is visible. Is it visible?
No, sir.
What you are seeing on your screen?
So that you have started screen sharing, but I can't.
Okay, so we'll complete this definition first. Money means, so little last definition, we need not understand everything in detail. I need not remember everything in detail. It means the Indian legal tender, Indian currency. So here key point is that foreign currencies are also money. Check, promissory note, all these things, plastic money, letter of credit, everything is money. Okay, everything is included money. Everything, if you read it further, any other instrument recognized by Reserve Bank of India, when used as consideration to settle an obligation or exchange with Indian legal tender or another denomination, but shall not include any currency that is held for its uh, numismatic, sorry, numismatic value. Numismatic value means, there are some people who collect currency for a different purpose. For them, they have got some different value, right? So that those kind of currencies which are having only some kind of numismatic value will those currencies will not be considered as money. Otherwise, everything is money. Is it clear? Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The next is what is, now you've understood some of the definition. Next class we'll be understanding few other definitions. Then we'll enter into the topic. So we'll stop here now. Next class we'll catch up. We'll continue our discussion over the concept of supply. Okay. So thank you very much. Do you have any query up to this?
No, sir.
Thanks a lot. We'll catch up in your next class.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.